Karen Forbes, an accomplished technology executive and entrepreneur, at Kyndryl, she has led global strategy, customer advocacy, and regional operations, driving innovation and transformation across complex organizations. She is also the founder of VIDDIT, a pioneering video guest platform that redefines how people capture and share meaningful experiences.
I find Scotland to be a place that is open to helping people. I don't know how it works in other places, but I find it very, very, very open to helping, open to introducing, warm introductions and, moving from, because those are the things that you need to move from point A to point B. With the way artificial intelligence is touching virtually everything, how do you think AI will impact what you are trying to build? Or what you are building? You're not trying. You're building.
How do I think it will how it will impact?
How will it impact it?
I don't think that AI will have much. I think what it will enable us to do is scale in the way that eventually we might use a bit of AI to support in the editing, because there will be so much editing to do, because there'll be so many clients, etc. And so I think that with regards to that, I think that it would be really useful for us. But in terms of the actual product, I don't think it will have much of an impact. I think that personal connection is always going to be something that is extremely important.
Definitely.
And therefore, I think people will always want those memories, I think as people spend, although actually I hope that as more people adopt AI, they actually have more free time for real human connection. So that's my hope of, not that we can expect someone to do more work in a considered amount of time, that actually the work will take them less time and therefore they will have more time to
do other important things like human connection.
Yeah, that make them
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about funding. Let's talk about funding. If a potential investor is looking at you now, what's your value proposition? What's different about you, your team, your product that can, why should they invest with you?
Why should they invest with me? I think what I would say is that I'm not 100% sure that we are actually going to be looking for angel investment or VC investment. Just doing the figures of what the first year in business is going to look like. I'm not sure that we're going to need it in the first year, and then just looking at what the figures are, so it's something that I'm thinking about, but it's not something that I'm sure that we would need. I think when I think about angel and VC investment, I think, do I want to take a magnificent swing in terms of after the first year and we have real proof of concept, real proof of product market fit, we have loads of traction across social media. Do I want to take it? So our next step is the States, but it's, do I want to take it, worldwide in year 2? And I think if that is, I kind of feel like I want to think about the first year at the moment. I mean, we're super early doors right out of the gate, right? But I think for me, if I decide that that's the kind of business that I want to run, I want it to be international, and I want all of that responsibility, and I want all of that staff, and so then that's when I will start to think about, if I want to take it outside, past the US and internationally. I imagine that's when I would need to start seriously thinking about how much we would actually need in terms of marketing and staff and all of that kind of thing, in order to be able to build our brand in Asia or other areas of the world, and even the US. But at the moment I'm just thinking the UK is the testing spot basically, and we're definitely going to the US, but the UK is a testing spot. And then I think we would then look at the figures and think about whether a raise is something that we would want, because I think that I feel that in Scotland there's a lot of, oh, you just have to raise some money. That is the feedback, or that is what I see a lot of the time. And I think for me, what I think about is, when you take on VC money, it can be amazing, right? In the way that it can enable you to catapult the growth of your business and hire the people that you need to hire. But those investors are taking their money and putting it into your business, and they expect to see a return. And there's a huge sense of duty that should come there as a founder to be able to pay that money back and, give the investor the return that they expect to get. In my mind anyway, I know that investors lose, 50% of their, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure, they invest in 10 businesses and one succeeds. But so for me, that's a big consideration that would come into that. But I suppose, sorry, I've forgotten the question. What's my unique value proposition?
Yes. If you want to raise fund, if you want to raise any rounds, pre-seed, all of those things.
Do I want to raise? So the answer is, I am not sure yet. The answer is that thankfully the product was very simple for me to set up. And so I don't need to have a massive technical build and hire a CTO on a 6-figure. So do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't have to hire those executives at this stage. I don't need to build a lot of the back end of our product at this stage. And so at the moment, we're not looking to raise.
That's it. And I also, is one thing that I find very, very amazing. Personally, it may not be a good thing. I love products that the founder can foot the bills a little bit. Then I prefer it when a product is also something that the customers can fund. Like if you're able to build a product very quickly and sell it to the market. I prefer it that way. But, for some people who are building a product that they will not be able to, they will need a lot of people to run it. They will need a lot of, pay a lot of developer, pay for AWS, pay for all of those things. I prefer a business model, which I definitely understand not everybody can run those kind of business.
Yeah.
That you can, out of pockets, as a founder, fund, the initial stages, then quickly go to market. I love the fact that you have a very, very strong go-to-market strategy that you are actively working on, not just theory. And, I love your kind of business model. It is the kind of business model that an investor, if 1 year you're able to prove traction, an investor can see, okay, that means if we put, let's say, £500,000 in this business, we could get to this because you've done this is what you've achieved with zero. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying I love this kind of business model. Which should take me to the next question. The runway, the time it's going to take. One of the major things that I've discovered, that I've seen, that kill businesses most of the time is actually not money. It is the founder's burnout. The founder waking up tomorrow morning and not seeing a way out. Let's say you've been banging your head on something for the last 4, 5, 6 months and you're not getting the results you're supposed to get. Then, understandably, many people quit at that point. And so that's what I want to ask you. And every founder has to go through that route. It's today you are happy, tomorrow you are not happy. Today you win, tomorrow you are not winning. How do you want to go through all of the stages?
How do I want to go through it?
Yeah, it's a plan.
I would hope that I don't go through it. I think for me, as we discussed, I'm exceptionally lucky in the way that the product was very easy to build, and I I'm already within the tech sector in Scotland. We're just well networked in Scotland. And so for me, there's a lot of movement there in my business, so I don't feel like I'm banging my head against the wall. And so I think that can drive us forward. So I'm very lucky in the way that it's been very easy for me to get my product to market, and I have already had existing networks that I can utilize to get feedback from customers and suppliers. Out with that, I would say that I'm not very strict on how I manage my time. I think I'm just very efficient in how I manage my time. So I actually have a really wonderful life. Which is probably, which I don't think people associate that with early stage founders. And I think, we all imagine the founder, sitting in front of a laptop for 18 hours of the day, getting the work done. There has been lots of studies that have proven that if you work over 40 hours a week, you're not actually any more productive than you would be if you were to, if you work 8 hours a week, you're no more productive than you would be if you work 40 hours a week. And with regards to the editing that I did when I worked in the wedding industry, I can definitely testify to that, because that was just a really terrible time for me in terms of when I was working 8 hours a week and more. So I've lived that and learned from it. So I suppose for me, I'm having run businesses in the past, and just I am just very efficient in how I manage my time, because I have learned those skills over the years and over the businesses that I have run businesses and shut them down, because they haven't worked out. But so I have learned lots of lessons during that time. And so for me, I'm just very, very particular about how I manage my time. I'm very goal orientated in that way. So this is my plan for today, and I need to do this, and this. But also I do things like go to my local coffee shop and get the most delicious coffee in the morning and wander through the woodlands. And I know that not everyone is able to do that. And for lots of people, that sounds like their idea of, a nightmare, that they don't want to do that anymore. But, and then I play lots of tennis and do lots of yoga, and my kids are very happy at the moment. And so thankfully, I have managed to, I don't see that something as being a problem that I am going to have, but I appreciate that lots of people live very different lives, and so I would hope that for me that I would be able to. I definitely think I'm going to have to start working a whole lot more than I have been, to be honest, and I want to do that, and I feel like I have the capacity to do that, because I feel like I'm in such a great space, personally. And so growing VIDDIT is something that I'm really excited about. And, working a 40-hour week, which I'm probably doing right now, is something that I'm really excited about, honestly. And, all the traveling that will be involved in that. I'm going down to London a few times over the next few months, and just, I am so excited about that. But I think that I am extremely lucky in that regard. And the reason why I manage my life so well now is because I have experienced that burnout, and I'm really aware of it, because I think that when you're really burnt out, it's really difficult to get back from that. It takes a long time. I know there's a founder, Gigged AI. What's the founder's name? What's his name? Rich Wilson. So he talks a lot about burnout on his LinkedIn page, and so I've experienced burnout a couple of times in my life, and so I'm very conscious of not getting myself to that stage. But I think going into it for founders, it's just being really aware of that, really aware of the fact that what is it Stephen Bartlett says, like, you can never, if you give to something, you're always taking away from something else. So if you're giving that 8 hours to your work, you're taking away that time from your personal life and your own personal time that might enable you to continue to be happy and to be productive.
All right. So since you started building VIDDIT, what are the assumption you started with that has changed over the time that you've been building it?
So the assumptions that I had, two of them. So the first one was, we will sell this to videographers and photographers. They know that this is a pain point. They have customers asking for video guest books, and they know that it's difficult to get contributions during the day. So that was the first assumption. And then spoke to videographers, and they were like, no, we think it's a great idea, but while the business is in its infancy, we're not willing to trial it with our customers. So that was the initial assumption. And the next assumption was that couples would like the idea and immediately be like, yeah, amazing, let's do it. The reality is that you need to communicate authentically about the business, and talk about your experience in the industry, talk about the value of the product, have people use it for birthdays and things and write reviews and that in order to then have a couple come on board and say, we're happy to be early users, we're happy to send it out to our friends and family. And I think initially I thought, why would any couple not want to purchase our product? And the reality is that, it is another task on their to-do list. And so I think in the wedding industry particularly, and when it comes to something so precious as video contributions from friends and family, business needs to be established, you need to communicate authentically. And so those were the two assumptions that I had initially that have been, I'm so happy that I've turned those over and realised that they're not actually, that's not actually going to be our go-to-market. That's not actually going to work for us. So, but those were the assumptions initially that have changed.
One of the things I love about the way you are building it is you're taking feedback, and you are taking feedback for the next iteration, which is where most people go to die. Most founders go to die when, they just stay somewhere and build the product and bring it as it. Start wondering, or another assumption that I see most people have is, which is something you touched upon in a little bit. So I built this amazing thing. Why will you say no to it? So give me a masterclass on sales. Teach me sales.
On sales, I think it's just really seeing the value proposition for the customer. So I met you initially when I worked for a cybersecurity company, and I remember speaking to the managing director in the interview now, and she was selling it to me, and I was like, why would any business go without cybersecurity measures in place in order to protect themselves? And so I think it's just really understanding your customer and understanding what the value is to them and what pain point you're solving for them. So I know that when I was initially thinking of selling to the videographers and photographers, I know that it's a nightmare gathering video guest messages because I've been there and done it. And for couples, I know that it's something that they love to have, but I'm sure they're often disappointed when they see that not a lot of people have been able to contribute. And a lot of guests wish that they had just taken the time to leave the wedding party and contribute a short video message. And so it's just really understanding the pain point for your customers, I think, and being able to communicate your solution effectively. Have your customers know that you understand the problem that they're having, the pain point that they're struggling with, and talk about, your solution. I think for sales, I just think you should not be selling something if you do not really believe in it and understand the value to the customer. Mm. And I'm sure there are lots of people who don't think of themselves as being great salespeople for one reason or another, and they don't feel comfortable with it or whatever. And I just think if you can sell your dream to a team and have a team come on board, then bring on a team, bring on great salespeople who can take that vision that you have that understanding that you have of the problem, and who, you know, lots of people really, really enjoy doing sales. And so if you don't enjoy doing sales yourself, direct to customer, then get yourself in a situation where you can sell the idea to a great salesperson who understands it and who is happy to come on board and do that selling for you, I would say. Yeah.
Which will lead me to the next one. I need you to give me a masterclass on negotiation.
I think I'm thinking about negotiations that I have done over the years. I honestly don't look at a negotiation as being a head-to-head. I don't feel that you should be. I think if you find yourself clashing in a difficult conversation, then it's probably not the right fit. You probably don't want to work together, because I think that negotiation, you both want to be getting the best resolution there. And I just think you have to approach the negotiation with a real understanding of what the other person needs to get out of it, what you need to get out of it, and then just work through all the fine detail. I don't think that people who are hard-headed are the best negotiators, really. I think you need to have great people skills, and you need to understand where that person is coming from that you're negotiating with. And I think that the person that you're negotiating with really appreciates that. You know, I think so that would be my advice in going into negotiations, would be to really understand where the other person is coming from, really understand what your value proposition is and what your pitch is. Be really sure that what you're pitching aligns with what they're looking to get out of your product, or get out of the meeting, or get out of the service. Have a real understanding of that, and show them that you really understand that as well. So that is, and just really I think, yeah, have your backstop in mind, of course, you know. But I think just going in with all the information and a willingness to just be open and discuss the fine details.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The last couple of 1 or 2 questions last,
Okay.
maybe just one. What will you want your legacy to be? How will you want to be remembered? I'm not saying you are going to die tomorrow.
How would I want to be remembered? As someone who, oh gosh, how do I want to be remembered? As someone who was authentic, and I suppose I want to say as someone who was happy, but actually I think there are obviously times in my life where I've not felt really happy, and I don't think that being unhappy is a negative association. So I think that for me, I just want to be remembered as being someone who is open and cares about people. I care a lot about the Scottish economy, really. And so if I could, grow business, grow VIDDIT, and hire, create jobs, and generate revenue, tax revenue for Scotland, that is something that I would really love to do, and I suppose be remembered for. That seems totally crazy to think about that, because that is such a bar that's so far removed from where I am right now. Obviously we're in the first year of VIDDIT, but if I was to provide value for Scotland in terms of providing jobs and income, then that would make me happy.
Thank you so much.